Well, my friends, welcome to AEW Dynamite Ups and Downs, the only wrestling review show you need. It is I, Simon Miller, in a strange hotel room. It's not that strange. I'm in Toronto, Canada. Of course, AEW in Canada this week. That's why I'm here. I am doing a small wrestling tour for C4 Smash Wrestling and Mystery Wrestling. And then I shall be at All Out as well. So make sure you come say hello. And you can even call me a bald a-hole or do it in a nice way. However, before then, we did have the Go Home show or the Go Home Dynamite for All Out. Let's give you bits and up. Bad bits are down. So we did start off with the Carl Fletcher, Hangman Adam Page contract signing, and I thought this was absolutely faboo. Hangman is just a terrific world champion, and I don't know who got in Carl Fletcher's ear, but somebody must have said, listen, Kyle, nobody believes you are going to win the world title on Saturday, and you shouldn't because it's not the right time, but we need to come across like a super duper whooper star, and that's what we did. Now, Hangman very smartly had put into the contract the Don Callis family are not allowed to interfere or be at ringside. And if you do that and get disqualified, not only will you not become the world champion, but you'll lose your TNT championship too. What did Carl say? I don't care, man. I'm the future. I'm better than you when you were my age, and I'm better than you are now, so you can throw anything at me. And listen, mate, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to beat your ass anyway. Hangman was awesome here as well because he was trying to say, listen, I've been on your journey. I went after world championships. You have to realize, he didn't say this, but it's the best way to describe it. You have to take the ups with the downs because come Monday, you're going to be so damn sad, you're going to have to rebuild yourself. Fletcher was like, nah, mate, I'm going to win that world title and take over the company because apparently these days, if you become the world champion, you also become Tony Khan. But this is quite clearly part of the journey, to use 2025 words, of getting Carl into the main event scene and then cementing him there. And that takes time, because I do agree with you in not any universe, as I forget my words, I just got off a plane to be fair, but not in any universe should Carl Fletcher become the world champion on Saturday. But in terms of planting those seeds, so in 6 months, a year, 2 years, we can all go, well, of course Carl Fletcher would win that belt because he is so damn good. This was exactly what we should be doing. And it was a bit like when we were doing the Hangman, Adam Page, Chris Jericho stuff, 5-6 years ago. But now Hangman has taken up that role. He's sort of the veteran in the company, and it's Kyle that's snapping at his heels. I am going to give it an up because as contract segments go, it just did everything it could do in the context that it was presented in. Don Callis was really mad the whole time. He's never very happy. It's also important to note as well that Fletcher did say, all right, mate, we won't do anything at the weekend, but I am going to leave you laying by the end of the show. Small spoilers, that's exactly what happened. When we had a Darby and John Moxley video package that was probably called Crime Counter. Because John Moxley was like, ha, I'm going to bury you with the pay-per-view. And Darby was like, I'm going to push you into the fire. So I don't have a crime counter today because I'm editing this video because it is so damn late. But either way, both should at least be questioned by police. When we did get John Moxley versus Roderick Strong, and I just thought this was awesome for 3 reasons. 1, John Moxley coming out the other end of All In has just been fantastic. 2, we need to start putting more respect on Roderick Strong's name, who is incapable of having a bad match. And also 3, AEW went nerdy here because they were like, Marina Shafir is getting involved, but a 1 on the invisible dick board. But of course, in real life, Marina Shafir and Roderick Strong are married. If you didn't know that, it doesn't matter, but if you did, you could feel like you're part of the geek club. That all worked as well as the Death Riders always do because poor Roderick Strong was thrown right into Barry Barricade when Wheeler Yuta was there being an asshole. And finally, Kyle O'Reilly was like, well, I'm here too. He's my friend. I'm going to trigger a brawl. So he did. I've got my names wrong there because it was Daniel Garcia that got into a brawl with Kyle O'Reilly. And then it was Cousin It, a.k.a. Wheeler Yuta, who ran out. He tripped Roderick Strong. And Moxley was like, that's fine by me. And he choked him out with a Bulldog choke. What else could you do? But I find this super interesting. Because John Moxley getting win on the Go Home show to All In, All Out I should say, probably means he could be losing to Darby Allin. And I think you could go either way. But also, let's not forget, it is Darby's first big match. He did break a return. And he climbed flipping Mount Everest. I wouldn't be against that at all. In fact, I think it would be pretty good. And John Moxley can lose if we are going to throw more Death Riders into the mix. Although you could do it the other way around too. And we do have a new member and they screw away the Derby. Either way, brilliant match, fantastic match. I'm giving it an up. But also, the crowd loved this. They're on fire all night. We then had such a good segment with MJF as well because he walked into Tony Khan's office and was like, I don't want to be in a stupid tables and tax match with Mark Briscoe, so you should take me out of it because I'm a professional wrestler. And Tony Khan, you never saw his face, you only heard his voice, had a meltdown going, oh, you always muck around with that damn contract, you're screwing me over, you ruined the sanctity of professional wrestling, so you will compete in that match, and that's all there is to it. That's when MJF said, okay, fine, but maybe it will end with another Briscoe being buried underground or in the dirt, or words to that effect. Now, as always, as long as Mark Briscoe and the Briscoe family have signed off on this, it's totally fine, it's their choice, and it is something that MJF would say, so we didn't just say it for the shock factor, or you can argue that Maxwell Jacob Freeman is just one big shock factor, but I am going to stare off into the distance, because sometimes, my gosh, it hits close to home. But in terms of presenting something in a different way, which is also something AEW did later too, it's ganging up, liked it. And it was the same for Tia Leona taking on Bobby Lashley. I'm actually going to go as far as to say this. If you only have 10 minutes today and you only want to watch one thing from AEW Dynamite, you should watch this, because it is the epitome of big men slapping man meat. And everyone's always gone on about like, oh, Bobby Lashley doesn't sell anything. Well, here, he got Samoan dropped on the ring apron and it looked devastating. I think Leona is Samoana. Is he? Leona is Samoan? I think he's Samoan. So that counts? Was it just a drop? I didn't research it. What I loved as well is that Leona absolutely kicked the crap out of Bobby for ages, because of course he was going to lose. And we had some shenanigans on the outside when MVP just beat the crap out of Ricochet because he was being a dickhead and threw him into barricade. But that kind of excites me too, because as over and as popular as the Hurt Syndicate were, I think the Gates of Agony and Ricochet need to win on Saturday night. Like, they're kind of a brand new group, and you have to prove it was the right thing to put them together. When they were all fighting on the outside as well, Leona used that to take his Phoenix down, and he bounced Bobby Lashley all the way back to the USA, I think. But eventually he tried one move too many. He did wind up in the Hurt Lock, and he passed out because he didn't get his 8 hours. So I can totally understand. If I like 2 hours sleep, if someone put me on the Hurt Lock right now, I'd just go. Khan and Ricochet tried to attack afterwards, but MVP kind of chased them away with the cane, meaning the Hurt Syndicate was standing strong. Now, of course, the cynical bunch among you will be like, well, it just means they're going to destroy them on the weekend too. I think we may get some cheating and Ricochet and friends win. That's what I would do. But either way, it is getting it up. I just love watching two big dudes run into each other, which is something you can clip if you want. When we got to another great segment, and it's something I've been waiting for ages, because it was the face-to-face in the ring between FTR and Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. I just love all of these guys so much. And actually what they did talk about here is kind of true. FTR are an all-time tag team. Edge and Christian, excuse my language, are an all-time tag team. And now we get to see them fight. Stokely Hathaway was hilarious too, because he was like, you know the deal. If you attack Cash and Dax, it's going to cost you $100,000. And if you attack me, it's going to cost you $500,000. Surely nobody put those kind of finances in place. When Cash Wheeler went for the emotional jugular, he was like, man, I met you 20 years ago. You were the biggest star in the industry and you helped me. And then we were so damn happy when you came to AEW. That's why we teamed up. But as always, Adam, you made it about you. It's why they're going to end his career for a second time at the weekend. And Dax was all like, listen, the only reason people consider you a great tag team is because you were fighting mediocre teams. And eventually Adam took the mic and said, you mentioned my family during that, so you better shut up. And also, there was a pay-per-view named after us, in the sense that we totally made TLC matches famous, so maybe you better shut your hole. But for all that too, FTR actually went through a bunch of teams they had to face, including Enzo and Cass. I was like, man, we were not in Kansas anymore, Toto. And also at one point, Adam Copeland called themselves Cope and Christian, or Cope and Cage. Christian took the mic and he reversed it, honestly. I love the fact he's still a heel. He even came out of the heel tunnel. In many ways, I think Christian Cage may be the best wrestler on the planet right now. He's so funny. Dax then told Edge to stop looking at him, so Edge called him a piece of shit, you know what I'm talking about, when Christian realized, wait a minute, I'm rich. I don't care about being charged $100,000. Also, it'd be great for you, Stokely, because if you get $500,000, you can finally get some hoes. When they had a big old brawl, and of course the useless wrestling security tried to break it up. But I tell you, when Cage punched Dax with a microphone, he must have a broken nose. That thing exploded. There's no way you can quote-unquote fake that. So I just hope he's okay. I hope the match is still on. Honestly, it's pretty flipping bad. All the security guards also took a finishing move, which made me laugh, because like, what actually is this achieving? But I get it, you want to hold it off for the weekend. I just love all of this. I'm a huge FTR fan. I'm a huge Cope and Christian fan. I can't say that because my brain just wants to say Edge and Christian. I think they'll go out of the way to make sure this is superb. I'm giving it an up. They were serious. They made me laugh. It's all I've ever wanted from my life. Then come backstage talking about money because Matt and Nick Jackson are now rich again. They were just partying away. And they even gave 10 grand to Renee Paquette, who instantly was like, you know what? I think I love the Young Bucks. Quite clearly, Nick Jackson spent too much of this money, though, because poor Matt was having a breakdown. They were also taking on Juice Robinson and Austin Gunn, in that the winner goes into the tag team match all-out thingamajig for the tag team titles. This was absolutely excellent. Not entirely sure what is going on with the likes of Jay White, etc., but I hope he is okay. But every time I see Austin Gunn, he's brilliant. Juice Robinson, we know, is great. And as for the Young Bucks, well, it goes back to what we were just saying a few minutes ago. As far as I'm concerned, they're one of the best tag teams ever. At one point too, the Bucks were doing really well, but then they started posing. And how many times have I told you, you cannot hit the D-pad when you are wrestling because your opponents will take over? And Nick Jackson even started giving money out to people in the crowd because they were being so nice to him. Matt Jackson was like, listen, brother of mine, we were broke a week ago. We don't want to go back to it. Gunn also hit this awesome blockbuster off Juice's back, but eventually Nick Jackson was throwing himself around and taking people out the ring. That meant the Meltzer driver or the TK driver was open and the Young Bucks hit it for the 1-2-3. Don't think anybody's surprised about this. Of course they should be in the ladder match. This was so easy to watch. And actually, that Bro Dido ladder match that we are having, well, it could easily steal the show. Giving it up, it's just good wrestling. Their money went all over the place at the end anyway as Matt tried to put it back in the bag. So you know this story is going to continue. They just get it, man. Goofy wrestling for life. When we had yet another qualifier to see who was going to be taken on Takeshita and Okada for the unified title, it was Mascara taking on the Beast Mortars. I'm just going to give it an up. Like, in real time, you can hear the internet melting down because they just went move, 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 move. Wrestling tennis, you go, I go, we all go. But why wouldn't you want this as an option in at least one wrestling company? It was tremendous, and it probably was a great advert to tell you, oh, you like this kind of stuff? Maybe you should watch CMLL, and who are AEW in partners with. And if you're not saying CMLL, you're not listening. Because the Beast Mortis was going to lose, he was even kicking out at one towards the end of the thing to prove he is a monster, when eventually Mascara hit that tilt wall backbreaker and hit this massive shooting star press, which kind of made Beast Mortis roll to the middle of the ring. He got the 1-2-3. I just thought this was absolutely tremendous. And afterwards, Okada came out with Don Callis, but Takeshita came out by himself. I think Mascara took offense to that. He dove onto Okada, then he looked at Takeshita. I think Okada should win the match of the weekend. He should beat Mascara, and then we get to whatever the next pay-per-view is. And do you know who it should be? Takeshita versus Okada. Takeshita goes babyface, he wins that title, and away to the races we go. This build has been absolutely ridiculous because Okada had to qualify for his own match. But in terms of match quality, it's flipping great. When we got to this other segment that I was referring to earlier, that was a trope of wrestling, but we kind of mucked around with it a little bit, because it was Toni Storm having a wham, whatever you want to call it, when she dropped in all her usual catchphrases, but was also like, well, you do know, I am facing 3 other people, so I am going to lose this title. Well, it's been an honor to be your champion for the last 7 months. Also said that if you aren't trying to die when you're wrestling, you ain't doing shib. And also insinuated that maybe with her ashes, we should burn them and smoke them. I may have got that wrong, but sound like to me. Just going to tell you, I'm not going to do that. So eventually, Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, and Thekla all walked out as well. So it was your usual, I shall interrupt you, because I am in a multi-person match. But it was just a bit different, especially because the way it was shot for Toni Storm was in the Toni Storm way. Also, Chris Statlander proved she does watch the show. He's like, why is Jamie Hayter even in this? She hasn't been here in ages. She does not deserve it. Tony was then going to say something about all of their bushes. Thankfully, Thekla did walk out to cut that off. And while this wasn't the greatest segment in the world, you're not going to write home about it, I just thought it was done in a way where it felt fresh, it felt original, and it felt like AEW's take on something wrestling has done since the dawn of time. You could probably argue that's something AEW should do more of. I am going to give it an up. Like, it just worked, and it gave more people time to talk, and maybe that's a criticism we can throw out there as well. The only way you're going to get better at promos is by doing promos. More of this. When we did indeed get Thekla versus Queen Aminata in a no-hold-barred or a street fight scenario, whatever you want to call it, and I knew the Queen wasn't going to win here because Thekla was wearing proper jeans. You know the deal. If you're in a street fight, you have to wear jeans and pretend you're on the street, even though you're in the ring. We also got a bunch of trash can lids and chairs that went into their heads so many times. And do you remember when they had that quote-unquote normal singles match and they punched each other in the head and they just tried to kill each other? Well, it was that time 10. But this time they had weapons. I'm pretty sure towards the end of this as well, Aminata may have got a little bit loopy for real because her head went crashing into the canvas. That's when Thekla followed up. She hit the curb stop into the chair and she gets the 1-2-3. Getting quite excited about this Thekla, which is a weird thing to say, but I think she has world championship potential. Just needs to talk more. Toni Storm and Thekla then started to fight after this, which is when Wheeler Yuta and Marisha Fear were here, and Chris Statlander literally yelled at them, I do not need your help. We wouldn't have done that if there wasn't a reason to do it, so something is coming, maybe with the Death Riders. The Triangle of Madness was then here too, and they tried to stop Toni Storm, which is quite the mouthful, but she chased them away with the chair. I'm going to say, man, even though it doesn't feel like the right time to pull the trigger on any of the 3 opponents, I do think soon, and relatively soon, you could take the belt off Toni. She doesn't even need it anymore. She's like ascended the company. She's like a tippity-top star, but I will give it an up. For effort alone, Thekla and Queen Aminata killed each other. It's always smart to give a number one contender a win before the pay-per-view. Then on a quick interview with Top Flight, who were there with Christopher Daniels, when Hangman Adam Page peed on their parade. He's like, listen, you are facing the Don Callis family later, and my stipulation only applies to me. So if they screw you over, well, it sucks to be you. Thank you, champ. Tying into that as well, we did have to put another tag team into that ladder match at All Out, so it was Jet Speed taking on Killswitch and Kip Sabian. I'm going to give it a little bit of a down, because we have not seen Killswitch and Kip, which again is hard to say, since Forbidden Door. I mean, they've done some things on Collision, but I think we should have lent into this more and told the story how they hate each other, because that's what's happened here. It was smart to bring Killswitch back because Nick Wayne got injured, but he was always going to be the babyface. Now he is the babyface, and here they're a tag team, but they don't want to tag each other and they're falling out. Why didn't they just go to Tony Khan and say, listen, this is a really bad idea, it's not going to work? I just think there was more potential to tell a narrative. It's getting a dinny down. Eventually, Kip had no choice, so he did have to tag in the former Luchasaurus, so this did not go well, because Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight basically murked him. Also, there was a dive counter. I'd probably put about 3 on there. There were a flipping lot of dives. We've got to give credit to Jet Speed. They're so damn good. And flipping Mike Bailey was breaking up pins with his moonsault shooting star knee thingamajig. It's ridiculous. This is when Sabian forced his way back into the match again, and this time Killswitch was done. So when Kip did put his feet on the ropes to try and sneak a pin, he pushed them off and was basically like, you know what, dude? You do whatever the flub you want. And poor Kip Sabian had a meltdown because now he has no friends. Killswitch also refused to make the tag, which is when Kip turned into the springboard line and the the time adventure from Mike Bailey. And now they are going into that tag team match too. I mean, that is a super good idea. Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight are going to be superb. Big Bill and Brian Keith are then backstage, and Big Bill was like, I don't believe that Eddie Kingston is going to be at All Out, and if he's not, he's been gone for 16 months, and what an embarrassment he will be. Brian Keith then shouted fraud, and they both walked away. We can do more with these two, I like them. Straight after this as well, Brian Danielson did this sit down with Darby Allin, and I thought it was super duper good, especially to tie into the reason why Brian Danielson isn't going to go after Jon Moxley. So I applaud AEW for that one. They're thinking outside the box. Darby also talked about the reason he climbed Everest is because he's seen so many people get chewed up and spat out by wrestling. He doesn't want that for himself. He wants to do the things that he does want to do. When we actually saw the clip of him planting the AEW flag on top of Mount Everest, that man should probably be employed for life. He also realized he was doing a lot for everybody else. This was something for him when he said to Brian, I'm very sorry because I said I'd have your back. And look what Jon Moxley did to you, dude. He basically ended your career. And I should have been there for you, and I wasn't. I mean, I would never have done to Sting what Moxley did to you, and that means something to me. This is why he is going to get revenge all out, though, which is also when he looked in Danielson's eyes and said, listen, I really need to do this by myself for all the reasons I did lay out, so please don't get involved. So now you can't go, why went Brian Danielson round the ring to get revenge on Jonathan? They just told us. There was a twist here as well, because Brian Danielson said, all right, I promise you that, but you have to promise me something too. And he whispered something into Darby's ear, and of course, we didn't hear it. Now, I like to think he went, I really need the bathroom. But as you know, this scene is meant to have gravitas to it, so let's just pretend I'm saying something really strong, but instead I'm going to pee. He most definitely didn't say that, and I suppose we will get a twist, but I'm giving it an up. We are doing a good job with Darby. He just feels like a relatable dude. Well, not a relatable dude, because he'll like climb a building and throw himself into thumbtacks, but he's working as a face. When we made sure to give Riho another win before she does take on Mercedes Moné at the pay-per-view, because she did take on Robin Renegade, and I will always shout out the Renegade sisters on this show. We've basically been talking about them since AEW Dark, and I still think we should make the Mercedes Moné group with them. We wait and see. We made sure to give Robin a lot here as well, which I did appreciate. Mercedes on commentary, basically saying, man, Riho, she's so small. Look how small she is. And Robin agreed with this too, because he was essentially throwing her around. Riho then decided she was going to stomp as much as possible, because why wouldn't you do that? When she hit the Snapdragon and she got the Crucifix Bomb for the 1, 2, 3. And of course, instantly, Moné went to attack her. That wasn't going to work when Robin Renegade provided the distraction. So there you go, that could be the seed. And Mercedes Moné laid her out with the backstabber, which is interesting because you would presume that wrestling logic would tell you that Riho would win at the weekend, but she shouldn't. It's not time to change that title. And Riho, as we do know, is still getting rid of some of that ring rust. So I am going to give it an up. But I'm just going to throw Small down in there as well, because I think it's fair to say there are a lot of matches going down at All Out that don't have a lot of jeopardy. Like, the show will be absolutely brilliant, but it would be good if we could believe that a couple of titles could change hands. But at the same time, maybe Tony Khan will surprise us. Got footage of Collision where it does seem like the Acclaimed are getting back together. Jerry Lynn is now Billy Gunn, which begs the question, where the flub is Billy Gunn? Daniel Garcia also challenged Shibata for the pay-per-view too, so we are going to do round 3 of that when we got to our main event. Time to throw one last tag team into that ladder match. There was Top Flight versus Josh Alexander and Cesaro, and yes, I am going to give it down for Top Flight being in this. It was wonderful to see them back on Dynamite, but I don't think we've seen them since May, which begs the question, why would they have the opportunity to essentially become #1 contenders? Just going to put a down on there, but there is an upside to this. Darius and Dante are back, and they used their speed to begin with. Josh Alexander and Cesaro didn't know what to do. Darius also hit crossbodies, so put a 1 on the counter, when eventually, of course, Josh and Etchi did slow this down, and they were just pummeling on these guys, as Don Callis basically had an orgasm at ringside. Shouldn't have said that, but it's true. Cesaro eventually tagged in and hit the most horrific thing you've ever seen in your life. It turns out we've got a broken jaw, I won't be surprised. And eventually Darius went for another dive, but that got stopped. So Dante sort of learned from that in real time, and he was able to get his. So the dive counter has probably gone up by around about 67.2. He then climbed to the top rope, but Cesaro started yelling at the referee when Josh Alexander went and totally murked him. Surprise, surprise, the official was then done, so Cesaro hit the running head scissors, and he got the 1, 2, 3. This was the right thing to do. Josh Alexander and Cesaro are great anyway, but in terms of being a base for a ladder match, that'll do. All the good guys and bad guys in that tag team match eventually came out too, especially because the Don Callis family was going after Christopher Daniels, but eventually the Young Bucks and Bro Dino and everyone fought to the back, and just when it looked like Christopher Daniels was done for, who came to the ring to save him? It was Hangman Adam Page, also the dude that had tried to kill him during his retirement. That's wrestling. Now, Carl Fletcher eventually joined in and they set up the table to do the brain buster to Hangman Adam Page, which is what we had done to Kenny Omega. But the best part was, and I should have talked about this earlier, is that for a good old while, Hangman fought them off. And this is why I love that contract stipulation from earlier too. He's a smart babyface. He's watched the show. He knows these goobers are going to try and run in. So he tries to protect himself. But it is still wrestling maths. The bad guys did overrun him, and yep, Carl Fletcher hit the brainbuster through the table as everyone was like, oh no, that took out Kenny Omega, so maybe, just maybe, Carl is going to win. Now, I don't think he did enough to convince you that's 100% true, but I massively appreciate AEW for trying. It means they've read the lay of the land and they're doing their best. Gonna give it an up. Main event was good, angle afterwards was good, and I really do think this is gonna benefit Carl Fletcher. Every step he takes, it just feels a little bit more like a main eventer. Now, of course, please do leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's AEW Dynamite. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for Raw, and hopefully I will see a few of you over the coming days. I apologize that some of the videos are going to be from my hotel room, but you know, I like to try and balance both of my jobs. Appreciate the support. See you soon.